All right, let's just dive right into it. We're going to talk about one of the most frustrating, just soul-crushing problems in the entire world of fitness. It's this brick wall that I swear millions of people hit. You're putting in the work, you're being consistent, you're sweating it out in the gym week after week. But when you look in the mirror, it feels like nothing's changing. The progress has just flatlined. Well, today, we're solving that exact problem. We're going to use a science-based approach to figure out how to trigger what this is all about, hypertrophy.
This right here, this is the question. And yeah, we're using this kind of jumbled up phrasing on purpose because this is how real people actually type it into a search bar. It's not some polished perfect question. It's a raw, frustrated plea for help. I'm lifting, but not growing. Why? You know, it's a question that just echoes in gyms all over the planet. From the person who just picked up their first dumbbell to the veteran lifter who suddenly hit a plateau they just can't seem to break. It's completely universal. And look, if you've ever asked this yourself, I really want you to hear this. You are not alone, not even close. Just how big is this problem? Well, the scale is kind of mind-blowing.
Just look at this number, 15 million plus. And that's not over a year. That's every single month. 15 million times a month, people are jumping on YouTube, desperate to find an answer to this exact problem. So yeah, this isn't some small niche issue. It's a massive shared feeling of being stuck. But you know what? That also means the desire to figure it out is huge. And the good news is, the answer isn't some big secret. It's just buried under a mountain of bro science and bad advice. Our job today is to cut right through all that noise.
So let's officially call it what it is, the universal lifting question. Why do so many of us, people who are dedicated and working hard, slam into this wall that feels impossible to get over? Well, the reasons actually change depending on how experienced you are, but they all boil down to a misunderstanding of how to actually make your muscles grow. It's about making a huge mental shift, moving from just moving weight around to strategically stimulating growth. And that stimulation, it really comes down to three things: your form, your progression, and your programming. Okay, I know this slide looks like some crazy mind map, but just hang with me. It's basically the raw data we're pulling from. It shows this crossroads of what millions of people are asking and what the top science-based fitness experts are actually teaching. And the key thing to notice, highlighted right there at the bottom, is that our whole focus today is on natural lifters. We're talking about people who are trying to maximize their own genetic potential without any chemical help. This is all about working with your body's biology, not trying to cheat it.
So to solve the problem of not growing, we've got to understand what growing even means, in a biological sense. It's not magic, it's a very specific scientific process. And that brings us to the absolute core concept of this whole explainer, hypertrophy. That's the word. That's the thing we're all chasing in the gym. And getting a handle on it is the first and honestly the most important step to actually achieving it.
So what is hypertrophy really? Well, put simply, it's just the enlargement of your muscle fibers. Think about it like this. When you lift weights, you're creating these tiny micro tears, little bits of damage in your muscle. That's the stress we're talking about. It's a signal. Your body's response to that signal isn't just to repair the damage. No. It overcompensates. It rebuilds those fibers to be a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger so they can handle that stress better next time. Now here's where it gets really cool. Your body can do this in two different ways. There's myofibrillar hypertrophy, that's an increase in the actual contractile parts, the stuff that makes you stronger. And then there's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is more about increasing the fluid and feel around those fibers, which makes the muscle look bigger and fuller. A really smart program, it targets both. And every single thing we talk about from here on out is just a way to optimize this one process. Okay, let's break this down by experience level, because the solution is definitely not one size fits all. For beginners, and if that's you, listen up. The reason you're not growing almost always comes down to one thing. You're focused on the weight on the bar instead of your form, and that's a huge mistake we're going to fix right now. Your progress in the early days is built on a foundation of precision. It's all about mastering the how you lift before you even think about aggressively chasing the how much. These right here, these are the absolute non-negotiables for anyone starting their journey. First, you need a structured, science-based plan. No more just showing up and winging it. Second, you have to master the form on the big foundational lifts, like the squat and the deadlift. Let me be super clear. Getting these two moves right will probably be responsible for 80% of your early growth. Bad form doesn't just put you at risk for injury, it literally means you're not even training the muscle you think you are. You're just swinging weight around using momentum, which causes zero growth. And that brings us to the last and maybe most important mindset shift. Your goal is muscle growth, not just lifting. Control the weight, feel the muscle doing the work.
That mind-muscle connection is what actually turns on the hypertrophy signal. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it backs all this up. We analyzed content from super respected science-based creators like Jeremy Ethier, and what we found is that the best workout isn't some secret magical routine. It's just a program that intelligently combines all the right variables, the right exercises, volume, and rep ranges, and most important of all, it's based on a plan for, and you can see it's kind of misspelled here from the source material, progressive overload. That is the holy grail. But for a beginner, the first step of progressive overload isn't adding more weight. It's perfecting your form with the weight you're already using. That by itself is a brand new stimulus for growth.
Okay, let's level up. What if you're not a beginner? What if you've been training for a year, 5 years, maybe even 10? Your form is probably pretty solid, you're consistent, but the gains, they've slowed down to a crawl. This is that classic intermediate to advanced plateau. And here, the whole game changes. Your body's smart, it's adapted to what you've been doing. To get it to grow again, you can't just keep doing the same old thing. You've got to get strategic. You have to give your body a new, powerful reason to change.
For the experienced lifter, breaking through that wall really comes down to these 3 keys. First up, progressive overload. This is the engine of all long-term growth, and we're going to talk about what that really means when you can't just add more weight to the bar every week. Second, science-based rep ranges. You know that classic 8 to 12 rep range everyone talks about? Well, if that's all you're doing, it might be the very thing holding you back. It's time to use different stimuli. And third, maximizing gains naturally. This is where we stop thinking about single exercises and start looking at the entire physique, fixing those weak links to unlock brand new growth all over.
And this brings us to the much more nuanced goals of an experienced natural lifter. It's not just about getting bigger anymore. It's about building a quality, well-proportioned physique. That means fixing your weak links. You know, those stubborn body parts that throw off your overall look and your strength. And it means building full-length gains. What does that mean? Well, think about it. Are your bicep curls only working the middle part of the muscle? Are your squats too shallow? Full-length gains means using a full range of motion to develop the entire muscle, from where it starts to where it ends. That's what creates a much more aesthetic, powerful, and injury-proof body.
So, we've talked about the science, we've covered the beginner's foundation, and we've gone over the advanced lifter's strategy. So, how do we tie this all together into a simple, actionable blueprint you can actually take to the gym? Let's boil everything we've just discussed down into a super clear framework for consistent progress, no matter where you are on your journey. This is where all the theory gets turned into action.
And honestly, this slide just sums up the entire journey perfectly. Just look at the left column. Find your problem. Are you guilty of aimless lifting? The solution is a structured, science-based split. Is it ego lifting with sloppy form? The solution is to swallow your pride and put perfect form first always. Are you stuck in the same old routine? The clear answer is implementing real progressive overload. Is your training just guesswork? The fix is to use strategic, varied rep ranges. The path out of a plateau isn't a mystery. It's a straight line from the problems on the left to the solutions on the right. So here it is, your personal blueprint. Find yourself on this chart right now. If you're a beginner, your one and only job is form and foundation. Master the squat and deadlift. Become a technician of movement. If you're intermediate, your job is progression. You've built the foundation, now you have to build on it. Track your workouts and systematically add a little more weight or one more rep. And if you're advanced, your job is optimization. The easy gains are long gone. You need to become a scientist in your own training, intelligently tweaking things like volume and rep ranges to squeeze out that last bit of your potential. Find your level and lock in on your focus.
And that brings us to the end. We've gone from that huge, universal question to a specific, actionable blueprint for growth. But you know, knowledge is just potential. It's action that actually creates change. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Based on everything we just covered, what is the one thing you are going to change in your very next workout? Are you going to drop the weight to perfect your form? Are you going to finally write down your lifts so you can actually progress next week? Are you going to try a different rep range just to shock your system? The answer to "I'm lifting but not growing" isn't in some secret supplement or a magic workout. It's in the next smart decision you make. Thanks for tuning in.